Good morning. This is Mona, and this is my morning view. Today, Fall Edition 2025. Yes, I'm wearing a reindeer suit. Fall Edition 2025, Winter Wonderland behind me, and it is Thirsty Thinking Thursday. Now, normally, I have been doing a series on Thirsty Thinking Thursday, and recently the series has been the words of Hebrew praise, those words that are used in the Old Testament concerning praise and what their meanings are behind that particular word. So, unlike, the English language has one word for praise and they have multiple words for praise. I thought that there was 7, but I found out that there's more than 7. And so I did the 7 ones that I am accustomed to, the ones that I have referenced before in the last 45 years. However, there are some words that I was not aware of, and those words have popped up, and so I've been extending out that series, and I have 2 of those found words yet to go, and I was going to go ahead and continue on during this season that I'm doing my December nativity, the quick version. Okay. There are some times when I've gone into very detail of the nativity. I've given options of different views that are out there, different aspects. And so not telling you what one you have to know and what one you should believe in, but just giving you what is out there. What are the facts? What are the stories? What are the consensus? What is, all of that. But I haven't been doing that this year. This year is just a quick, let's get through it. You know that I've been dealing with a broken leg. I've been dealing with physical therapy, and just the holidays in general. It's just, there's a lot of the hustle and bustle of things that need to get done that haven't been done yet. So, being able to sit down and study for this hasn't happened. Why? Because this is the real R-E-A-L, not the R-E-E-L. Now, that said, today, Thirsty Thinking Thursday, I am not going to be doing the series on praise because I did not get a chance to sit down and research this word at all. Other than I know that it exists. There's 2 of them. One, I haven't done any research whatsoever. The other one, I know what it means. I have applied it in my life without knowing the word. So now we're going to cover the word and its meaning. And I'm not sure when Christmas is next week, whether it falls on Wednesday or Thursday. So if it falls on Thursday, I definitely will not be doing it. I probably will be taking the rest of the month off after Christmas because my husband has off. So it's kind of like a little holiday for us, a little vacation, if you will, even if we don't go anywhere. So with that, I will not be talking about the words of praise today. Today, I'm going to cover the census because that's the next in row of the nativity, because I'm going as a, saw something out of the corner of my eye. There's the nativity squirrel moment. Bring my brain back into focus here. And no, it wasn't a squirrel. So, yeah, so, I'm trying to think of it. The next in the series of the nativity. So we've done, Zechariah, the beginning of it, where the angel comes and speaks to Zechariah. That's all part of the story. It's all part of the story. And then, when the angel came to Mary, all part of the story. Especially, right? And then Joseph and him taking on the role of raising Jesus, and how the angel appeared to him in a dream to tell him not to be afraid of that. And then moving on to visiting Elizabeth. So if you haven't watched all these, go ahead and go back and watch them. Like I said, this is the shortened version. This is not detailed. This is just, you know, I may get through some of my old December ones and start gathering them so they're all ready and prepared for next year, and have that as a supplemental morning view that's that will be added to the morning view. All right, so that may give me an opportunity to do some of those other things that I want to do with December. All right, moving right along, the census. Okay, so it's my memory, guys. It's what's in here. Caesar Augustus. He was the reigning Caesar of Rome at the time of Jesus's birth. Now, Caesar Augustus can be looked up in history. So you will see when he reigned in Rome. That gives you a time frame of when Jesus appeared on the earth. Now, I told you that back in when Zechariah was doing his service for the temple, that may be in a log somewhere going back as historical documents. So look that up. I know that a lot of documents have been destroyed. I know a lot of documents haven't been, some have been rewritten in order to preserve, because, parchment can decay, right? That's just like the Dead Sea Scrolls. They were found, and there was a lot of it that was found, but there was parts where there is decay. And so that's part of what the Essenes were doing. The Essenes were rewriting things that were already written so that they could preserve the word, or preserve historical situations that were going on or had happened. So there's this time frame that you can go back to look at when Jesus was born. And then they're saying that the possibility that Jesus was probably born around 4 AD or 4 ACE, whatever you want to call it. But, the before Christ thing stopped, and then the AD started, right? But but there's also that time frame of Christ's existence type of thing, and there's other words in reference to that. But mind you, nobody was going around going, "Hey, what's the date, bud?" How they described the date is kind of like when it talked about in Isaiah the year that King Hosea died. The year that this king died. So you can go back into history on when that king died or had reigned. And so when you go back, you can follow the date. You can't follow the date going forward. We don't have a calendar like we have in there, on my wall that shows, okay, in a month I have a doctor's appointment, No. That wasn't the case. They may have been able to say so many days time in a month's time. Yes, they could have said that, but they couldn't they couldn't say that today is, January 1st. They had months. They had seasons. They had weeks. They could tell by the moon. Remember, they were they were lunar people, not sun people. The Romans were sun people. The Jewish people were lunar people. So they calculated things by the lunar, so they knew the times and seasons of the days, you know. So this is, okay, yeah, that's the first day of Nisan, right? The first day of Nisan. And so they did have that. They did have that. But they didn't say it was Nisan the 2nd. The second day of Nisan. Yeah, they could say it was the second day of Nisan. They could keep track of it as it was going. Okay. So I am backtracking as I'm thinking about it because, again, this is impromptu. So just going through, and as my memory is recalling, yes. But they did. It wasn't AD or BC, you know, it was the month. And the year was projected by something that took place that year. This person reigned. This person died. This person, you know, the year of the Great Flood, whatever, you know. It was not an AD BC situation. They didn't know that until after Christ, after, I don't know the date of when they started the AD and BC scenario. That is something I would have to research. So, if you know, you can always throw the link down there below, or the or the commentary to, you know, when that began. You know, they would have had to have acknowledged Christ for there to be a Christ existence, right? There would have to be a before Christ moment, by saying that there was an after Christ moment. You know what I'm saying? So let's move right along from that, because I got into a little will of that in a moment. I'll get wait patiently. Okay. Yeah, like movement with my phone. Yay. She is the star of the show, so, you know, even when she's not seen, she has made her presence known. All right. So, Caesar Augustus, the year that Caesar Augustus reigned, he decided, I say he decided, that he was going to take a census, and that all the people had to go back to their roots of their hometown, of their towns. So, depending on the lineage, depended on what town they went to. Now, mind you, that David, the king that, you know, the lineage of Christ came through, he came from the town of Bethlehem. Joseph and Mary were up in Nazareth. See, that's part of the things that I would have done in my previous videos, is talk about how many days away Bethlehem is from Nazareth, what the distance was between Nazareth and where Elizabeth lived. You're not getting that this time. But approximately a week's journey. A week, maybe 2 weeks. You're talking about a pregnant woman on a donkey, right? So here she is, ready to give birth at any time, but is mandated that they go down to Bethlehem because of the proclamation of the census. Proclamations come with authority. Kind of remember that. Proclamations, if you have authority, you can proclaim. And Caesar had quite a bit of authority. However, there was a prophecy that the baby would be born in Bethlehem. The king would be born in Bethlehem. Well, how do you get Mary and Joseph, human beings that, contemplate, okay, what am I doing? What am I doing next? What am I doing next? What's the right move? That's how my brain works. What's the right move? What's the right move? If I had an angel come to my face and say, hey, this is going to happen. And I said, okay, first of all, I'd have to know that is a messenger from God. Because we don't want a messenger of light coming in and appearing that they're from God. So you have to be mindful of that. So there's all these little other things that get in our human brain that's like, okay, what am I supposed to do here? But when a proclamation comes from the Caesar, the ruler of Rome, to the provinces of Rome, well, then you do what Rome tells you to do. So you pack up your pregnant wife and you put her on a donkey and you head down to Bethlehem. And so they're traveling down to Bethlehem. Not an easy journey. And I don't know if you've ever ridden on a donkey. I've ridden on a horse. And even riding on a horse for a long period of time can be horrendous on the bum. So there's that. So she's probably walking part, probably riding part. Maybe they're putting their supplies. They have to have supplies to travel because it's a week's journey, right? It's a week's journey. So maybe the donkey has supplies on his back. And they can't bring everything, but they can get enough to get to Bethlehem, right? They get to Bethlehem, and then everything will be okay because David has family down. Joseph has family down there. See how names can slip very easily? So Joseph has family there. And all of his family is returning there because of the census. The census is saying, hey, if you're in the lineage of David, you must go to David's hometown. Why is that? Why did they have to go to their hometown at the lineage of David? I could see if they were the lineage of Judah. If they were the lineage of Judah, then they had to go to Judah. But Judah is not a town. It is a section. It is an area. Remember that because of some evil doings back after David, after Solomon, that the kingdom was divided between Judah and Israel. Between Judah and Israel. And when the children of Israel crossed the Jordan in order to claim the promised land, there were different cities, different areas, different sections that were divided among the 12 tribes, except for Levi. Because Levi was a priest, they were not to have an area. They were to be divided amongst the different areas in order to service those areas. And then a lot of them worked in the tabernacle until the temple was built. And then the temple became the area of service where they came from their different provinces, their different towns, to serve. That's why Zechariah left his town to go serve at the temple, because it was his time to serve, right? So why did it have to deal with King David and his town? Oh, because you want to keep track of who is in the lineage of the king. Who would be the king of Israel if all of Israel, Judah and Israel combined, who would be the king rightfully? You want to keep track of that, right? Oh, possibly. But more than anything, God wanted Jesus born in Bethlehem. So they took the journey and they went to Bethlehem. Now, I was going to talk about the star, but I think I'm going to wait on the star because Jesus isn't born yet. Jesus isn't born yet. And I'm not going to get to the inn and the stable until Monday. So, Friday is an early dismissal schedule. So I got to go in early. But keep in mind the idea that you can do some research to find out the time period when Jesus was born. And it wasn't so much that Caesar Augustus wanted to take a census to find out how many people he had, although they did that back in the day. Censuses are still taken. But you can do that without sending people back to their home of lineage to find out what town they're living in now. Wouldn't that be more important than sending them back to their home of lineage and to the time of David? Multiple people of that family came back to Bethlehem. There was a lot of people in Bethlehem at the time. Bethlehem was a small town. Hundreds. There was hundreds, not thousands of people. There were hundreds of people. And because there were hundreds of people, and there were other people coming in to town, it kind of stressed the demographics of the town. It stressed the infrastructure. That's the word I want to use. The infrastructure of the town, because so many people were coming in for the census. But wouldn't that be some people leaving, some people coming, some people leaving, some people coming? Was everybody needing to go to their hometown? Or was it those during the time of David or the lineage of David? Just an interesting thought. I haven't done research on it, but it's Thirsty Thinking Thursday. So I'm coming out with things that, hey, think about this. Maybe do some research of your own. Maybe gather some information. And you're willing to share. So if you're on YouTube, subscribe, hit notifications. YouTube and Facebook, like, comment, share, helps the algorithm. And come back and follow me for tomorrow for Feisty Friday. Feisty Friday. Man, it's Thursday already. My goodness. Thursday. So, yeah. If you haven't gone to YouTube yet, go over to YouTube, Mona E. Harrison, different than my Facebook profile. Mona E. Harrison. You'll see my white hair. You'll see my beautiful face. You'll know you're in the right spot, and subscribe. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow for Feisty Friday. Yeah. All right. Bye.